Good evening. This is the Tibet Center. Our Tibet name is Kunshab Targulin, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City, where we are now, and northern New Jersey. And this is our usually twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma, but I'll advise you that this Wednesday night being New Year's Eve, we're not having a Wednesday night class in South Orange. The regular schedule resumes next week, so the 5th and then the 7th. Next week will be 2 Dharma classes. All the prayers we will be saying are on the Tibet Center website. Go to the tibetcenter.org, FAQ section, and scroll down to prayers. If you have anyone for whom you wish us to pray for has died in the past week or past weeks, put their names in the chat box or text them to us now before the end, because there is a delay from about a minute or so in the broadcast, so we might miss it. So we'll start with the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious 3 precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West, for all the people living there, together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them. May all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled. Excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the 5 skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form, emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing, not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awakened to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequal mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayato Om Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. So refuge in Bodhisattva vow, it's called generating bodhicitta. We say the verses 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And now, according to our little tradition, we'll recite one rosary round on the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, who's the personification of great compassion. The mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum. So relax into Om Mani Padme Hum for a few minutes, few seconds. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Oh. Tonight we have an all Dalai Lama format. Basically, a lot of this was supposed to be in the realm of secular ethics, on a program of secular, but most of the advice here, you don't have to be a Buddhist to follow. It's advice about basic living. And it mentions cause and effect and things like that, which happens whether people believe in it or not. So we'll go that way. Feel free to, it's supposed to be a discussion group, so feel free to disagree, add your own, whatever. First thing we'll start off from this book called Answers. This is from the turn of this century, edited by Professor Jose Ignacio Cabezon, ex-monk, chair of religion at Stanford, Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara, the God realm that's out there on the coast. It's very nice. No subways, no junkies leaning in corners, I can't stand it. So anyway, it's a question one student asked, could you please say something on the 3 kinds of suffering? Do you know about the 3 kinds of suffering? Leon, you know the 3 kinds of suffering? No, okay. Suffering itself, which everybody knows, even animals. Suffering of change, which we call pleasure. And pervasive suffering, the basic state of being that we're in. So he's going to go through them 1, 2, 3. His Holiness replies, one kind of suffering is like a headache or like yesterday's flu, discomfort in the nose, watery eyes, and so forth. In short, it includes all those kinds of gross physical and mental sufferings that in ordinary parlance we usually call suffering. That's the first category. So, of course, there is I'm suffering, all this or whatever. All the basic problems of human life. Mm-hmm. Second category is as follows. And this is tricky. When we feel hungry and begin to take food, at first we feel very happy. Some people say, you're cold, you go in the sun, and then after a while, hey, I'm getting burnt. Same thing. This is a basic factor of life. It's universal. Think about it, and you'll see this truth come up, and you'll prove it yourself. We take one mouthful of food, he says, then 2, 3, 4, 5. Eventually, though it's the same person, the same food, and the same time period, we begin to find the food objectionable and rejected. Too much. So this you could verify. And then they come on with more. And you must have this because my mother made it. All this Christmas torture, whatever. And reject it. That's what's meant by the suffering of change. We don't call that suffering, but it is. So the basic thing is in this life, nothing lasts. And we don't like the fact that something we're enjoying doesn't last. And we get upset about that. And we crave to have it keep going, And even though we have a lot of pleasure, and then we get upset with it, it's too much food or too much of this relationship or whatever, still you crave it when it dies down. You don't learn from your experience that take things in stride. You crave. Crave is a very dangerous thing. It's sneaky, it's pernicious, whatever you want to say, insidious, we can go on. Anyway, that's the problem. That's called the suffering of change. And His Holiness says directly, practically every worldly happiness and pleasure is in this second category. Suffering of change. We move to a new neighborhood. Oh, it's beautiful here, not like the old place. Hang around a while and it all comes bubbling up. Compared to other forms of suffering at the beginning, these more subtle forms of suffering seem pleasurable. They seem to afford us some happiness, but this is not true or lasting happiness. And we could spend hours on that topic. What's true happiness? What's lasting happiness? And when they say lasting, they're talking lifetime after lifetime. Lifetime. So what is that true happiness? We could discuss that later. For the more we become acquainted with these things, the more involved we become with them, and the more suffering and trouble they bring us. That's the second category. And the big problem there, besides you do experience the dissatisfaction. It doesn't, but the craving continues. You still think that I gotta have this because that's it. Then my problems are solved. And it never works that way because we don't have the self-discipline to recall from memory the past disappointments and apply them. We don't have the discipline to apply them at the point where we should. The worst thing is I want and I don't have. You're never happy with that. You're never happy craving. How could you be? It's that tension. And you're not at your best. Well, that's that. As for the third category, now this is rough. And this is a serious presentation nobody but Buddhism has. I think it is fair to say it is one's own body. He puts it down to your body. What does he mean by that? Roughly speaking, this is what it is. It is the body which is the fruit of afflictions, a body originally created by afflictions. It's getting very deep now. How did we get this body? It's pretty good to be human. And to be human where we have access to all the best learning there is over time. That's pretty good. But the body itself suffers. It gets colds, it gets this, because it was basically, it came out of afflictions. Afflictions caused it. Craving for this, craving for that. So we're not perfect. Now there are people walking around that look like everybody else and look like they suffer like everybody else, but they're not. You could say His Holiness is something like that, a normal human body, and he claims, I have a cold, I don't feel, but they're playing a role. There are people that can appear to us as ordinary people, because those are the only people we can learn from. We can't learn from the glorious Sambhoga form of Buddha, something like that, or these celestial, we can't perceive them. So they have to come down to our level of perception, and they take these bodies out of compassion, and we will do that too in the future when we become Buddhas. Well, Bodhisattvas also send out emanations, so that's good news. But the body, let's get back to the body. Because it is created by such causes, afflictions. And what's the basic affliction? Misreading reality. Thinking things inherently exist and they don't. Basic ground ignorance, which everyone has and doesn't know it, has to be gotten rid of for perfection. So, and that's something everyone will evolve to. So you could say Buddhahood is our full evolvement. It's our destiny, whether you like it or not. Sorry, you're going to not suffer anymore. Don't cry. So, because the body is created by such causes, the very nature of suffering comes to act as the basis of suffering. This is then the third category. Even animals have the desire to overcome the first kind of suffering. Yeah, they go when it's hot, they go where it's cool, they go where it's warm when they're cold. They're smart. The second category of suffering, which is we think is pleasure, is something both Buddhists and non-Buddhists seek to overcome. Everyone. You don't want to overdo it. So, with the practice of samadhi, mental concentration, and a certain kind of insight that is based on a path which presents the aspects of samatha, mental quiescence or calm abiding, and vipassana, which is insight, it is possible to accomplish this. He's not talking about the highest levels yet. You can hold your mind to where it's not darting all over here. One-pointed mind. With the one-pointed mind comes what? Pliancy, bliss, control. You're not suffering to study or anything. If you have calm abiding, you reach that point where the concentration is so tight at the ninth level it breaks, and you get what they call shinjang, or pliancy. A bliss in the mind becomes a bliss in the body, becomes a greater bliss in the mind, and then just drops a notch. And you could then do discursive thinking and not lose your fix. Before that, you can't have any errant thoughts or anything. You have to concentrate on this, on this, on this. The image of the Buddha, more and more and more. No dullness. It's vivid. No excitement. And then once you get that calm abide, then you can really get into studying and everything. That's why they can sit and preach for hours. They're not tired. There's a certain energy that they've taken, say from the universe, I don't know where. But it's not the burden that we have. Just something to look forward to. Shamatha or karma is hard to get. And then you combine it with insight. And then that's your tool to advance. That's how they have these complicated visualizations, the Kala Chakra, 740 deities, and you're not missing one color of the eye or anything. And you could hold it for 40 minutes at least. It's possible with the discipline of calm abiding. Shamatha. I found the best advice on this comes from the Alan Wallace books. And you ever familiar with Alan Wallace? No. He's got a lot of the Bridge of Quiescence is one of his books. They're in the library in Jersey. So,
Buddhism with an attitude?
Buddhism with an attitude. I don't think he goes into shamatha too much there, but that's his main study. And he's got a lot of videos on it now. You don't have to buy the books anymore. Click, 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 and sit there. Even if you go to sleep listening to it, listen again and again. Rinpoche taught me, I was listening to tapes, and you have to listen many times. His Holiness says, when you read a text, you read it 9 times, you'll get 9 readings. 9 meanings, rather, 9 meanings. Because it's reading you. You're improving, and then, you're picking up more. The book reads you. Uh-oh. Anyway, so enough blah, blah, blah. So you have that. It's possible to accomplish this. You're not enlightened fully yet. You're not a Buddha. But you're not suffering the suffering of change and stuff. You see samsara, and now he's going to go into the realm we're in, samsara, which derives from the word whirlpool, going around and around all the time, high, low, in different births. Divided into 3 realms. The realm of desire, kamadhatu. We're in that. What's in that when they start describing the hell realms, the heavenly realms, the animal realm, the ghost, all within the first level of the realm of desire. And then the second one is the realm of form, rupa dhatu. And that's where you have a body, but it's not as gross as this. You have more pleasure there, but there are 4 levels of that, and as you ascend, it's less and less physical. And then the formless realm, you don't have a body. You just have mental bliss. You're not out of samsara. You're not enlightened. When the merit that you used up to get there dissolves, you're back on the pile. Why? You didn't directly see emptiness. So that's why empty is the key to everything. So you don't diss emptiness. No, it's serious, very important. The lowest realm comes around the form of blah. So with the shamatha and a kind of vipassana, in other words, with calm abiding, a steady mind, if you want to say it, and a kind of insight, we can make some distinction which can discriminate between these different realms. Well, why is this so good? Why is that so? You're thinking logically of false benefits, but with a very strong, calm, abiding mind. So that impresses you. We can read something and we understand it. Yeah, that's right. But it doesn't affect us that much in the long term because the mind reading was all over the place. Your mind is locked in. Whoa, you have what is called an experience. That changes you. So that's what we're going to get. Have some coffee. I need it too. Your theory is right about caffeine.
Someone else figured that out. I just listened.
Someone else figured all this out. I'm just reading. That's it. We're all.
But I was just thinking about
Yes, sir. What did I do? Wrong with the sound? You got tape?
Huh?
Let me put something on it. Maybe I'll
It's okay, it's on, just don't touch it.
due to technical difficulties, we briefly lost the sound. I'll yell. You can't hear me. I'll be miles away. It's on. The light's on. You click and you hit another light. STI. This is not Radio City Production Magazine. We can't afford it. All right, so then you say, it's better to be in the form realm, better than, but to help others, Bodhisattva will go to the realm necessary. I have to be there because their minds developed enough, and there's 10 levels of Bodhisattva, depending how strong you are. So it's not good to lollygag in the upper realms in this complacent peace, they call it. Even if you get out of samsara, but you're not fully enlightened, you're an arhat, undestroyed. destroy the things that keep you in samsara. But you're not fully enlightened. You don't have omissions. The Buddhas will rattle your cage and get you instead. Let's go. You're not done. And they say it's harder then to achieve Buddhahood because you're so used to sitting in this complacent place where you're out of samsara and you have compassion with all those poor things they're suffering. But it's not the compassion that says, oh, those poor things, I got to do something about this, and then start emanating. So that's the difference. So you need deep meditation to do that. A great deal of effort at very deep meditation, we can create the karmic seeds for being reborn in an upper realm. Okay, that's not the fun involved. Upper realms are maybe a break or so, but best to be born where there's a good teacher. Certain heavens are very good. Amitabha's Pure Land, Tushita Heaven, where you could really learn. People could pray to that. And even if you can't read or write, you just generate a constant wish to be in Sukhavati or the Amitabha Land, Pure Land, or whatever, these various ones. Okay, that's something someone can do who doesn't have much time, much mental ability. Still faith. In these higher realms, as long as it goes on page 91, for keeping score, there is no suffering of suffering, the gross suffering that we have. And without going into details, let me just say that beyond a certain stage, there's no suffering of change. You're not craving and overdoing it, so you don't have that problem. It's more complicated than that, but he's talking to a general audience, including me, from a general audience. So at this point, only the most basic suffering, the third category, exists. The fact that you're not out of samsara and that you're not fully enlightened. As long as one remains in samsara, this holiness says, the third kind of suffering will always be present. It is only when one gets rid of this third kind of suffering that one can be said to have attained nirvana. Now nirvana is there's a full nirvana, which is Buddhism, but there's this other nirvana, you're out of samsara, as we just described. You're an arhat. Very nice. Congratulations. You get a t-shirt. I don't know. You get something.
I don't want to take us too far off track here, but you just started previously there about these higher realms, Tushita,
Pure lands and
Has His Holiness ever addressed the ideas of heaven from the Abrahamic?
I'm sure he has.
What they're aspiring to would be some sort of pure land.
I heard Kalu Rinpoche said with regard to the Christian heaven, said they're right, you can do good things and go to this place, but that's not the full story.
Right.
And they're teaching a kind of reincarnation, he said, but not the full story where you come back to it. So that's a temporary thing. Buddhas show up as these other teachers. The label Buddhism has to dissolve. When you get to that certain level,
Right.
high beings are going to appear wherever they have. They say something. Buddha appeared as Jesus Christ is what he was called the Great Bodhisattva. He's something. Because that's what people need. They need that approach. Someone needs Islam or something. The various Hindu deities and the variety of them. Because certain people lock onto this form and that presentation. That's very good for them. We can't, especially us, on our level. Hindus, they don't know that. Come on, Rinpoche once said, everybody, we sit and we study Buddhist tenets and so on. We say, they believe this and that. But if they came here, a real master in their schools, and debated us, we'd look like junk. They'd make us look like fools. That's just nothing. And he supposedly was a good debater. I don't know. I don't speak Tibetan, so I never heard him. But he said that. You have to be very careful and stop with your arrogance. You learn a little thing, and then so that's blocking everything. That blocks you, this feeling of I got it made, I'm this or that. That's not a genuine, sincere bliss. That's bullshit. I'll get cut. That's BS. When we catch ourselves,
we shouldn't negate their views of these places. That's just where they're trying to go, in a way, for now.
Yeah. But it's good to have discussions. It sharpens the mind. Maybe in the next life I'll be able to debate. Who knows? All right, so within Buddhism itself, there are different ideas concerning this point. That's true. Within Buddhism, different schools. One school says this. No, it's this. No, it's this. All the words of the Buddha, all set for a purpose. to relieve suffering. You have to teach to the student's ability. You can't give the highest thing. And you're not going to teach a first grade student unless he's really a genius quantum physics. He has to learn how to read and write, or she, boom, boom. So same thing here. And this is kind of subtle when they introduce the ideas on emptiness. That's why there's 4 steps to emptiness, 4 schools, we would say. According to the lower schools, since the body itself is the basis of suffering, as long as it's present, so too is suffering. So why don't we get rid of the body? The best thing to do is to dissolve, to die. According to them, when the Buddha attained enlightenment in Bodhigaya, he overcame 2 evils, that of the host of demons led by Mara, the ignorance and stuff, and that of the afflictive emotions, the klesas. But they continued, there were 2 more evils left to overcome, that of the body and that of death. Right, he dies and he gets rid of the body. They say they were vanquished only when he died at Krishnagiri. They're saying that's it. Nirvana without remainder, that's it. He's free. Then the arguments start. You mean he studied and taught for 40 years just to end, that's it? No. So he'll explain now nicely. So it's a very nice presentation now. According to this school of thought, when a being like Shakyamuni attains Mahaparinirvana, in other words, he dies, right, and passes away, he ceases to exist. Well, this we could argue right here and prove that they're wrong. There is no further continuity of consciousness. That's not true. Our consciousness never had a beginning and will never have an end. And it is individualized. No beginning, no end. The whole time thing is taken out. So relax, light up, relax. Therefore, according to the Vaishnava school, at this point, no more being, no more consciousness. Only the name remains, and yet they believe that this being who has now disappeared can influence the course of those who follow him due to the virtues that he created in the past. He now, since Hosolian said, this explanation is not accepted by the highest schools of thought, however. Can you follow this? So, these schools instead believe that there are 2 kinds of bodies, those that are pure in nature and those that are impure. The latter is more gross, whereas a body that has been purified is more subtle. Just maybe wind and mind, energy and consciousness. Now, for example, when Shakyamuni gave up his body, there still remained the subtle one. So according to these schools of thought, at the stage of Buddhahood, there are 2 bodies, a mental body and a physical one. I don't know whether the English word body is the most appropriate one. That's true. When we think body, we think, comb your hair, nice, I don't have to worry about that. But no, entity might be a better word. Or he's saying use the Sanskrit words. In Sanskrit, the words used to signify the 2 bodies of the Buddha are Dharmakaya and Rupakaya. Rupa being form. And this is the first is the nature of mind, Dharmakaya, whereas the latter is material. And it could be a subtle material. It doesn't have to be a big butt. So when the Buddha passes away, there's still this more subtle body, which is of the nature of mind. And since the mental continuum is also present, remember it never leaves, we can say that the personality is still there. Even today, the Buddha remains as a living being. I think this is better, don't you? I don't think it's a very pleasing proposition that living sentient beings at one point completely disappeared. He doesn't like it, and we don't like it. Now, this 3rd category of suffering is the body which acts as the basis of all other sufferings. As we mentioned, it is transcended in nirvana. This does not mean, however, that the great beings cease to exist, but instead that their gross, impure physical form and limited consciousness comes to be replaced by 2 types of pure bodies of an enlightened being. So this is a good deal. And they can, don't forget, an omniscient Buddha emanates wherever it's needed instantly, without having to think, so maybe I'll go over there. No, there's a need, there's a Buddha. Automatic, due to the wishing prayers that they say before they were enlightened. May anyone who hears my name be benefited. When anybody sees me be benefited. May this, that, and May I be there when everyone, I be a bridge for those who need to cross. And Shantideva's book goes on poetically about that. Medicine for the sick, food for the hungry, things like that. Protection for the fearful. It'll bring you to tears. The 10th chapter, you'll go crazy. It's very nice. It's very. You have a book, don't you, of Shantideva's?
Yeah. What does that look like?
I'll read it. You have? Oh, you read it?
She hasn't read it yet.
He was in
She would
the-
like it. She would like it as well.
He's your ancestor. 8th century, Nalanda University. Where's Nalanda? The north somewhere, right? It's right there. Nikki's not here to tell us.
What book is this?
This book is answers.
So the book that you've read.
Oh, Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. The only book you need. If you want one book, then you have to have that to go to the moon or something with. Bring Shantideva. Amazing. It's in poetic form, which he did extemporaneously. They can do that. You know the story of him. He was the monk that just hung around. He didn't do any prayers or anything. They said he's lazy. All he does is eat, sleeps, and goes to the bathroom. So let's embarrass him by inviting him to teach. And then he'll be so embarrassed he'll leave. We'll get rid of him. They did, and they set up a very high cushion for him. He said, okay, how do you want me to tell you? And then he just miraculously went to the top of the cushion and started teaching in rhyme, in four-line verses. Boom, boom, boom. The last verse, he started to disappear, the one on emptiness. And he kept getting smaller and smaller, and that's it. And then they went looking for him. It was, enlightening. What's wrong with us? What do we do? They went looking all over, and they finally found him in the south, in a monastery, and he said, okay, why don't you come back and teach us? No, I can't. However, go to my old room in the rafters. I left the text there. And it was the Shiksha Samakaya. All the step by step, like a Lama wrote the practice there. So those are 2 books he left us with. Shantideva. So, what are we going to do first? We'll go to the power of compassion before we hit the text that we're targeting. His Holiness' book on dying. Now, the topic now is going to just small, few paragraphs, few pages of this tiny book on death. And then it switches into another mode, dealing with anger and emotion. But we won't cover that. We'll go to the Dalai Lama's chapter on dying. This is a commentary on a 17-verse poem by the first Panchen Lama about the death process, starting out with refuge and getting all the way up to tantric techniques. So, first and foremost, the death process is ordinary. It's part of life. We've done it before. We don't remember it because things like this we block out unless you're a yogi or you develop calm abiding, and then within that calm abiding, you start tracing back thoughts, and you'll go back to your previous lives. That's where clairvoyance is developed. Future miraculous powers are developed. You're not out of samsara. You could be a real creep and have these powers, like some of them black magic people. But that's where it lies. Now, with a good mind, you'll find out, oh, what's this? Oh, that's why I like this person. Whatever. Meanwhile, let's get out of self. Not play with these things. So causes and effects, since we were here by means of cause and effect, every cause is temporary. Everything that relies on a cause, which is everything, is by nature temporary. Nothing caused is permanent. It can't be. It's in flux. It's in motion. It's not static. So the body we have is a result of a lot of causes. By definition, impermanent. Cause and effect. And that's it. Just remember that. So although I'll just do a few highlights, sentences. Although the main purpose of a high degree of awareness of impermanence is to train oneself so that at the time of death one will be in a virtuous and positive state of mind and will be assured of a positive rebirth, there are other benefits. One of the positive side effects of maintaining a very high degree of awareness of death is that it will prepare the individual to such an extent that when the individual actually faces death, he or she will be in a better position to maintain his or her presence of mind. If you don't, you keep putting it out of your mind. The mind's very smart. It's holding everything. There's layers of the mind. It's going to send up anxiety. It's going to send up various confusion because you're pushing down a fact. You accept it, okay. And by the way, I did it before. And also now Tantra enters the scene and saying, this is not just death. This is a place you can become a Buddha right away at 3 different levels. In the dying, in the intermediate state, in the rebirth state. You got a shortcut here. Don't be an idiot. Don't freak out. Oh, what's going to happen? Go ahead, you know. After a while, even that conscious mind is dissolving. You can't do that anymore. If we really want to go ahead and study the dissolution stage of death, it tells us a lot about our current body. So that's why it's important. Especially in Tantric Buddhism, he's saying on page 28, it is considered that the state of mind which one experiences at the point of death is extremely subtle. And because of the subtlety of the level of that consciousness, it also has great power and impact upon one's mental continuum. It's like going down into the operating system of your computer, not the time you went way down there to really change things. The executive program used to call it in my day. I don't know what it is now. So you're going to the most subtle level of mind where everything comes out. It also has great power. So in Tantric practices, we find a lot of emphasis placed on death-related meditations and also reflections upon the process of death, so that the individual at the time of death not only retains his or her presence of mind, but also is in a position to utilize that subtle state of consciousness effectively toward the realization of the path. As you're dissolving, you'll getting rid of jealousy, anger, this or that, craving, getting rid of all these. They're not operating because the body is more and more subtle. As we get closer to our pure nature, which is always there, these things aren't around. We're dealing with them now, constantly. And you can't throw them out the window, whatever, but you won't be at the process of that if you're not freaking out and going unconscious, if you're aware only. There is a level, of course, we talked the other time we were here. In the bardo, you have clairvoyance. Remember someone asked Rangu Rinpoche, you know, somebody dies and we pray for them. How does that affect them? As he said, you know, you don't understand. In the bardo being is clairvoyance. If friends of his or her are praying, they'll hear it. And at a certain point, they will understand, even if it's not in the language they understood in their own life. They're getting down to the point where the mind is more omniscient. Not fully, but there. We have the Buddha nature. And he's saying, so it's, of course it's good for you. Everyone agrees on that. You pray for something when it's good for someone, whether it's good for them or not, it's certainly very good for you. You're showing charity, you're showing love, whatever. But also, it affects them. Especially as Rinpoche said, you have a connection with them. And Nikki Chan said, but don't we have a connection with everyone? They've all been our mothers. And he laughed. So that's very interesting. I don't know. Somehow I remember that. I can remember when I put my keys. So, it's because of that we find many tantric meditations. It's technically known as deity yoga meditations, because they are meditations on deities. These meditations on these involve the dissolution process. What does he mean by that? Various elements in our body, earth, water, fire, things like they're holding up certain minds. Those minds go away when these elements dissolve. The earth element dissolves, not as subtle. The water element, the outer sign, the inner sign, we'll go into them now, but as the person dies, you're watching that person die. These certain people, the first 4 stages, there's a gross manifestation. The person starts to wither, looks pale. Please hold me up, I feel like I'm sinking. I'm very cold, please cover me, I'm thirsty, all that. And you can see that, the body shrinking into itself. Then that person goes into the 4 last stages, where it's all mental signs. And there are mental signs of everything seems white or red, stuff like that, of course, which we won't go into now, but certain elements are coming to the central part of the heart. The red, white from the father first, everything is a white appearance. The red from the mother comes up. Secondly, red appearance. And then black near attainment. It's covered, and then clear like mind. You're dead then. You left the body. So sometimes people say, well, was that great peace? And they're maybe in the white stage, but they didn't go all the way. They partially died and came back. And some people say, well, I was in this beautiful place, and the lights were very white, and you didn't go there all the way. That question was asked in one of these books. I think Pranga Rinpoche answered that. So, but we're getting away with ourselves here. So disillusion means elements dissolve. So one time I said, somebody was laughing. I said, you gotta be laughing when the elements dissolve. I thought it was being clever. And Tim says, ha ha ha, that's a good one. So be aware of the fact that you're not here forever. Don't be casual. You got a chance to do something. How many people hear this? Not many. All the cars down, people in the subway, none of them came to the Tibet Center. Fools. No, but this knowledge is very important. It does, don't worry, the Buddhas are working, no matter what person is, they're watching them and trying to help them. So there's always help. You don't need a special card or something. So the stages of death, intermediate state, rebirth. That's the key. And all the tantric sadhanas imitate that. They do it in figurative language. So it's not saying, you do this, and you do that, but there are books that say that, like this one. But that's the basis of all these daily sadhanas. The word sadhana means method of accomplishment. That's a Hindu word, it's a Sanskrit word, so you're probably familiar with sadhana in presentation, in Hinduism. All the deities, by the way, that Tibetans have look like Hindu. The tradition comes from India. They just added the element, the philosophical element of emptiness. Otherwise, a lot of the techniques are the same. The shamatha techniques, same. The concentrating the mind and the way they describe as the mind gets more subtle. I'm told it's the same. So he's saying, all these stages of existence are seen as states or manifestations of the consciousness. That same consciousness manifesting differently, okay? The energies that accompany or propel the consciousness. Remember, there's always consciousness and energy, like horse and rider. The horse can really go fast, doesn't know where to go. The rider can't run like the horse, but knows exactly where to go. The two of them together, and they are always together. We say this constantly, which you do this or do this. Always together, symbiotic relationship. So you can manipulate the energies to bring certain minds. So that's what Tantra does. So different stages, that's all. So these three stages, nothing but various levels of the subtle consciousness and energy, which we always have, which we always have had, and we're just going through different stages of that. So you should not panic, freak out on being annihilated. Maintain your cool as best as you can. An example of such fluctuating states can be found in our daily existence. When during the 24-hour day we go through a cycle of deep sleep. This is not bad. He's giving the store away right here. I'm serious. Deep sleep, the waking period, and dream state. Deep sleep, the waking period, and dream state. Waking period is most gross. Dream state, most subtle. And then deep sleep, the clear light mind is there. It didn't go away. You're not aware of it. Some people can be aware of the deepest state and see the clear light mind. From there, you're changed. You manipulate that and you work with that. And you're a changed person. I can't wait. I just go to sleep now. I don't want to get up either. Our daily existence, in fact, characterized by these three stages. So he's giving you a nice pat on the hand. Don't be afraid. This is workable. You're not being pulled here and there. You're in charge. You want to help others, especially. That's what Jung always said. Your last gross thought, always compassion. Never fails. If you could do the sadhana when you're dying, fine. But very few can. Our yogis can. For instance, Ling Rinpoche, the current one, but we'll talk about his predecessor, went to that deep state, clear light, and stayed there. All the indications of death were there. No breathing, no heart, nothing. Only right here remained warm. He stayed up. Then when he came out of that state after 13 days, then he was gone. So, and he's back. Sir Kang Rinpoche the same one. And he's running around with the rest of us today. Not like us, but so it's possible. And these people are around, they speak English. They're well educated, they're willing to help us. So whenever you have a chance to see either of those lamas or plenty others like them, go. Don't waste time. Don't come to Tibet unless we have them here. So anyway, so when we're talking about the distinctions I made in Tantric literature between the subtle and gross levels of consciousness and mind, I think it is important to bear in mind what exactly we mean by mental consciousness. So we'll end on this thought because it's very heavy. Often people get the impression that when we talk about the sixth mental consciousness, there is some kind of autonomous type of consciousness which is totally independent from the bodily states and which is, in a way, the equivalent of the soul. That's here and everything else going around, it's separate from. He's saying, but this is a misunderstanding. I personally think that if we were to examine our mental world, we would find that most of our mental states and mental functions have direct physical correlates. I'm drowsy, I need something to coffee, I'm this. They have direct physical correlates. I got a lot of pain and I'm very short-tempered. My mind is affected by it. So he's not saying anything new, but we just didn't consider it. Not only the sensory consciousness, but also much of the, what we would call the mental consciousness, has physiological basis. Mental consciousness, he's saying that there's a little bit of a consciousness in the eye that could see things, a consciousness in the ear that hears things. Of course, that Buddha, all those consciousnesses do everything. The eye hears. So that's because you're in a different state. But so he's saying that's not exactly what we're talking. There's a mental consciousness which we put above all of them. I'm thinking. I'm not looking. I'm not smelling, tasting. I'm thinking. That's the mental consciousness. But it is also involved in the physical base. It's involved in being affected by energy, which the physical base is a lot of. It is intimately linked with bodily state, just as scientists would say that the brain and nervous system are the primary physiological basis of much of our conscious experience. Therefore, when the bodily state ceases, those mental functions also cease. But the question really is, what makes it possible for certain physical substances or physiological states to give rise to a mental event or a state of awareness? The Buddhist, particularly the Tantric explanation, points towards what is known as the subtle, clear light state. He's saying that's running everything. What is it? How come energies come in and they can? The subtle, clear light state is always there and always operating. Right now it is. You're asleep and you don't know what the hell's going on. It's still operating. Very strange. You never see it. Which can be seen as independent from a physiological base. It doesn't need this gross body. And it is this clear light state of mind which is the most subtle level of consciousness and which, when it interacts with the physiological base, gives rise to all our conscious and cognitive events. Rinpoche said in his biography, we believe that all forms come out of the clear light. And he just sort of dropped a hint. Not supposed to be talking openly, but they do that. There are certain indications of the existence of what we call the clear light state of mind. There are incidents which generally tend to be more possible for religious practitioners. For instance, among the Tibetan community in exile, there have been cases where people are pronounced clinically dead. That is, their brain function has ceased, and the brain is dead, but the decomposition of the body has not begun. No circulation, no heartbeat, no nothing. Doctor, this one is dead. He's not. Or she's not, unless they could read the clear light. Is it there or not? They'll know soon or not. It'll decompose. But if it doesn't, or none of those clinical signs of death are there, that person is in tukdam, or clear light. And you don't touch them until they naturally slump. And if you could feel their heartbeat, it would be warm. So they say. I mean, this is all me repeating, not me experiencing. So And he talks about language, which I already said. The individual at that state is not dead. He's or she in the process of dying. It's not done. Most people can't stay in that state. As soon as that dawns, they're out of here, and they're totally gone. But some people, with that control, can do a lot. So, according to the Tantra Samaja Tantra, it goes through these processes, etc. And then you reverse. The clear light wants to start a new body, and it does. And then at that point, you can become enlightened, what you choose. So that's another state, another step in the process where you can really advance. So you re-arise in another form, you say. So that is nothing other than these intervening points where the individual's various physiological elements dissolve into the clear light and they come back out. So that's what's happening. That's how you're born. Hopefully in the Rockefeller family. It shows it. Yes, should be born in Rockefeller. At that time, Rockefeller was Mr. Money. Now he's probably nothing. He's probably. So let's see. We have time. We have to have some 5 minutes. Scientists are now studying these internal signs: the mirage, or smoke, blinking butter lamp. Things like that, the internal signs that have been recorded by yogis and stuff as they're dying. Scientists are now interested in. They're working with electrodes, so who knows how far they'll go. His Holiness says we have all the equipment around, but we can't ask someone, please die, so we can watch things. He said that a couple of times. I thought that was great. Anyway, we'll end it there. We had enough of them. These are what I recommend is this book, Death, Intermediate State, and Rebirth in Tibetan Buddhism, which is nothing but a primer put together by Nanchen Genwe Lodro, I think, whatever it is. But it's a basic primer text. Rich and I visited Snowline Books in '85. We went up there to teach, and then again in '87. And we went through the bookstore, and he pointed, I bought them all, you know. And of course they get a nice discount as a registry. But we got something expensive. That one, yes, very important. To give you just charts and everything. But at this stage, you don't have jealousy anymore. Now you don't have craving for this anymore. It's all mapped out. Really, you can't go wrong. So maybe I'll bring that book in next time. The 5th, next time we meet here. By the way, no class Wednesday night, New Year's Eve. We don't want people driving from Jersey with all the drunks, putting their life at risk. Darren, you got any names?
No names.
No names. Anyone who passed away this week. Friends passed. So we'll do the Sutra of the Recollection of Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha Bhagavat, Tathagata Arahat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who own with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of Nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from miskandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arises in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavats. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely. They enter insightfully. They enter straightforwardly. They enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joint palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in completely pure Dharma. The 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings, who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as I have found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all health and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all cross practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as light illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Prayer for a swift return of Rato Choma Rinpoche, written by His Holiness. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in the drop, Soul refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Losam Tukam Doje Cham. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Losam's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding a commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme elevation, full of the sage teachings, and which will jewel, return as the glory of Losam Tempe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Paramayama, and Srimata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation of the rational life base. This concludes tonight's presentation. Let me remind you again, no class New Year's Eve in New Jersey. The next Dharma class will be Monday night the 5th, right back here at 151 West 30th, a block away from Penn Station, in the heart of the chaos. Thank you very much for your kind patience. Big love to all of you and Happy New Year.
Thank you, John.